Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, WeThePeopleProcessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. WeThePeopleProcessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, WeThePeopleProcessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024.
Mr. President-elect, go ahead. Can you state categorically? Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com with not just extra content and extra videos and extra presentations, but with information that goes in far greater depth than I can provide on this platform. This platform continues to get targeted. Just look at the view counts. Just look at how people don't get notified. There are so many other ways they target this platform. And many people say, you know, why do you spend thousands of dollars every month on a website and the protection of that website with your IT team? It's because I have information that I gather from contacts I have developed over 35 years when I first went to work on healthcare policy during the Reagan administration. And I believe that information is crucial for people to have. And we have to take the necessary steps because the powers that be do not want people to know about it. That site is under constant attack, and we have to protect it. And we have to protect the information. So for 30 cents a day, we provide a platform where I go into great depth and allow people to see what's happening months, if not years, ahead of what ultimately transpires. It's not an overstatement. It's a statement of fact. Speak to anyone who subscribes to our platform and they will tell you that. What I try to do, even with the censorship that occurs here and other social media platforms, is lay a foundation of where we end up going at davejanda.com. We hope you'll become part of our freedom family. Today, I want to address an issue that was put forward by a fantastic political analyst by the name of James Howard Kunstler. And he recently wrote a short essay entitled, What It's Really About. What It's Really About. Well, what's the it's part of that title? Well, the it's is the globalist cult's agenda, which in a nutshell is focused on stripping you and everyone you know in everyone of the world of the remaining freedoms and liberties, future, life, and specifically ending the constitutional republic that we know and grew up in the United States. It's not an overstatement. The good news is that much to the chagrin of the deep state, the globalist cult, whatever you want to call them, there has been a mass awakening. In particular, it started in 2020 with their bioweapon and the resultant based on a bioweapon. And it's progressed to the fact that 2022 was a hallmark year of the awakening. And millions of people around the world awakened to what the cult really is all about. All of us that have been, and very few of us that have been speaking about the cult and their agenda, have been labeled conspiracy theorists for decades. No. We were right, one. And two, it might be conspiracy, but it's conspiracy reality that is based on facts and data and science. And part of this awakening happened later in 2022 for many millions of people with the release of the Twitter files. And it was unequivocal what those Twitter files showed. Collusion, criminal collusion between government and people in tech, censoring people like me. I continue to be censored on Twitter. I'm still suspended. Go look at DOCDHJ, my account. Account suspended. I was suspended January 8th, 2021. What did I say? That COVID was the freedom-stripping virus that adversely affected the 2020 election. Boom! That was it. No warnings, nothing. I've inquired 4 times. The latest being a week and a half ago. When are you going to reinstate my account? I'm innocent. I've never heard a response. And when the FBI, who was one of the agencies involved in this collusion, along with our intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, you name it, the White House, Department of Health and Human Services, the CDC, they were all involved. They're all totalitarian thugs that cannot take questions and questioning them. They despise accountability. They despise transparency, which is why they despise people like me. Good, because I'm not stopping. But here's what the FBI said, quote, "It is unfortunate that conspiracy theorists and others are feeding the American public misinformation with the sole purpose of attempting to discredit the agency," end quote. Yeah. Here's what Kunstler writes. "What's most appalling about the Twitter revelations of the intel community year-long stranglehold on social media is not just the evil doings of the FBI, CIA, and others colluding to gaslight the U.S. electorate, lie like heck, but the fact that there is no institution in the land that can intervene to adjudicate or discipline these rogue agencies. Nobody expects that the FBI's parent, the Department of Justice, or JUST-us, to look into any of this. Now the administrative weight of the U.S. is rolling over on its own citizens and the Constitution, and the news media is uniformly and enthusiastically in favor of suppressing the news about it. This is the direction our country has been going in. I can offer only one note of consolation about what looks like a pretty demoralizing predicament. And here it is. This is Kunstler, and he's right. What you're seeing is the end, emphasize end product of a certain era in the late stage life of a society. Obviously, it has ended badly. The catch is, we are entering a new era of American life. An era of deep economic disorder, be prepared. Many of our videos have shown you this over many years' time. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Their paper assets are vapor. He goes on. Especially that will go very hard on the nation. That will rearrange many of the social categories we take for granted now. That will compel people of all classes to pay attention to reality. That this economic tsunami is going to wake people up, those that aren't, to what actually works and who actually knows how to work what works. Perhaps the biggest part of that unspooling event will be the bankruptcy and the failure of the government in Washington, its consequent loss of legitimacy, and the end of its ability to control and harass the people who live under it. Think I'm kidding? Stand by now and wait for it to happen. And it's not going to take long. Because look, they can't even hide the bogus data anymore. The Biden economy. The Dow incurs its worst year since 2008 in 2022. The NASDAQ incurs its worst year ever. If you add in the bond market, it's the worst year since 1871. And remember, it's not an accident. It's not incompetence. This is willful. And it's imploding. And they think when they implode the economic communities, what they're going to do and strip you of your financial freedom, that you'll come running to them. Save me. Do you have one of these to bring my bank account up? To bring the stock portfolio? Do you have one of these for the bond market or the crypto market? Or yeah, we do. And it's safe and effective. Yeah. Just hand over your remaining freedoms and liberties. Yeah. And we'll make it all right. Because we have all the power. That's what they're counting on. And you don't think a lot of people are going to do this? Well, less are now than would have 3 years ago after their whole goat rodeo with their freedom stripping virus, or pathogen, or whatever you want to call it. This from Colin Toddhunter. Of economic crises and pandemics, Facebook is fact. Government is truth. Big Pharma is God. If events since March 2020 have shown us anything, it is that fear is a powerful weapon for securing hegemony, control. Any government can manipulate fear about certain things while conveniently ignoring real dangers that a population faces. Author and researcher Robert J. Burrow says, if we were seriously concerned about our world, the gravest and longest standing health crisis on the planet is the one that starves to death 100,000 people each day. No panic about that, of course. No panic because the controlling interests of the global food system have long profited from a stuffed and starved strategy that ensures people unnecessarily go hungry when corporate profit rather than need dictates policies. It's called food security. And we have told, do you think these supply chains are just a coincidence or because of incompetence? Of course not. They're willful. They want you hungry. They want you cold. They want you thirsty because you're more apt to just say, save me, give me one of these. That's what it's all about. Meanwhile, they're stoking the flames of inflation by printing too much money. What did Milton Friedman tell us? That inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods? Well, these cats just, whether it's the Fed, from a monetary side, producing too many dollars, or whether it's on the fiscal side of allocating all this huge amount of money we don't have, but we're going to go into more debt. Omnibus. What would we have? We had 18 people with an R after their name vote for this. As I said, there's one political party, the Republicans. I've told you this for years, decades. They're all owned by the criminal banking syndicate. That's what it's all about. Omnibus shows Congress's priorities are authoritarianism and war. This is from the great Ron Paul, one of the most, if not the most honest person I ever met in D.C. Congress passed a 4,000-page, $1.7 trillion omnibus appropriations bill that few, if any, representatives and senators read before voting on it. Sound familiar? We got to vote on it before we read it. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. The Republican leadership celebrated this bloated monstrosity because it spends $858 billion that we don't have on warfare, while only, in quotes, spending $772.5 billion on welfare. The omnibus appropriates $44.5 billion giveaway to, that World Economic Forum globalist cult puppet Zelensky in Ukraine. This brings the total U.S. spending on Ukraine military to over $100 billion, approximately 50% more than Russia's entire military budget. This money is being spent in a conflict that does not, underline not, affect United States security, yet one that would likely have not occurred were it not for U.S. meddling in the region. The omnibus bill also provides $11.3 billion for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah, that same one that said, these are all conspiracy theorists that are spoken about how government's involved with social media and censorship. And a $569.6 million increase and $524 billion above the president's request. $524 million, not billion. He was wrong. According to the Democratic leadership, the funding increase is so the FBI can better fight extremist violence and domestic terrorists. He concludes, Ron Paul, the fiscal year 2022 omnibus appropriations bill expands government, reduces liberty, and increases government debt, forcing the Federal Reserve to monetize more, leading to more price inflation, a la Milton Friedman. Our political elites prioritize militarism abroad and authoritarianism at home over addressing the problems facing the American people like the Federal Reserve's destructive monetary policy, and it's all deliberate. That's what it's all about. And do not wait for somebody in government or somebody that once was in government to save you. It's not going to happen. But they want you locked down. They want you on that couch. They want you consuming their boob tube garbage propaganda. So you just let it all happen. That's what it's all about. Protect yourself. Storable food, storable water. I've talked to you about this for years. Best company, Numana. NUMANNA.com. Watch our video. It's free now. Called The Road to Freedom, The Road to Our Freedom. It's about my family's battle against the globalist cult for 4 generations. And it focuses on how to protect yourself. In particular, financially. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Their paper markets are vapor. Don't get trapped in it. Gold and silver have stood the test of time as the best insurance policy for financial upheaval that's willful. Look at what the central banks are doing. Look at what Russia, China, India are doing. They're buying gold and silver hand over fist, but they don't want you to know that. No. Best company for that? Camino. CAMINO. CaminoCompany.com. Have a means of protecting your storable food, storable water, and your hard assets. Right? And you also need to educate your neighbors and family and friends of what it's all about. Because the more people that are educated with what it's all about, the more people that become empowered. And the more people that become empowered, the sooner we end this reign of terror, willful terror, by the syndicate. Fact. And I believe 2023, when people decades down the line look at this, they'll go, you know what? It's 2020, they started waking up. 2022, wow, watershed. And whoa, 2023, boom. Boom. That is when people took a stand. And the cult vaporized. And that's why they are so panicked and so desperate. Because they know that people are awakened and people are talking and people are doing things to protect themselves and their families. Yeah. Keep it up. We're winning. But we don't win if you sit on the couch, if you consume their media, and if you don't talk to anyone and everyone you know about what's really happening and what it's all about. I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.